one second, guys. I don't know why I set it up when I first start to have it flipped so you're looking at this. And every time I go live, as soon as I go live, it flips it to where you got the light that I have overhead glaring right at you. So I apologize for that. So, hello everybody, and this is Carla. Welcome back to the studio, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Throwback Thursday. So, this is Holy Week, and for my Throwback Thursday, I'm going to be doing an Easter bundle. This is going to be more geared around, like your bunnies and your eggs and things like that. And then tomorrow, for Good Friday, um, I go live usually on Friday nights at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. However, being that it is going to be Good Friday, I will be attending a Good Friday church service at the same time. So, the video that I have for you tomorrow, it will be posted at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, just as if I was going live. The only difference is it's going to be pre-recorded, and it will be scheduled to air at that point right here on this channel. I also want to make mention that on my Friday night lives, I also usually have a PDF that I create of the three projects that I make. I will have that already posted out there on my Google Drive in the description of my Friday videos. That last paragraph that's right above the list of supplies, there's a link. When you click on it, it will take you to my Google Drive, and then I have videos that are dated and the name of like the suite or bundle stamp set, whatever it may be that I used. That name would be there too, so you can click on it, you can download it, you can print it out. And these go back from, I believe, January 26th of 2024. So there's plenty out there. And so for my Friday night kind of live, I'm featuring the Faith Collection bundle. This is a bundle that is in the online exclusives. So tomorrow night's video, it's definitely going to be geared more on the religious side as opposed to what I will be doing for this video for you today. So for this one, I am going to be using the basket bunch stamp set along with the coordinating basket builder set of dies. Now, these cards, they are going to take a little bit. I'm only creating two. That's usually what I do on my Throwback Thursdays. There is some stuff that I already like stamped and die cut ahead of time, but we're going to be doing some coloring and some assembling. So we're going to get started on our projects. Because like I said, this video will probably go a little bit longer than my normal Thursday videos. So let me pull in my pieces right here. So to start, hold on. One thing I do want to do, I do create, usually when I pre-record my videos, um, hold on a second. What is that? I don't know what that was. That was very weird. Very weird. I never saw that before. So on a side note, um, I'm pre-recording this video, so I don't have all my descriptive stuff with all my measurements for my projects out. And usually I open up that Word document that has all of that. And I went to do that, and for some weird reason, when I minimized the YouTube screen that I'm watching the video, just like what you're seeing here, I'm watching on my laptop, and I got this weird message, something about that unusually high something with my channel. It was weird. I never saw it before. So it's gone now. So I don't know. There's always, you never know what you're going to end up seeing when you do a YouTube video for some reason. I don't know. YouTube's gotten a little crazy. I can't schedule my videos because it likes to flip my videos on me, even though I had already done that. So, yeah, so this is how I have to do things now. Okay, so my first card. For my card base, I got Pretty in Pink. This is 8.5 by 5.5. I scored it at 4.25. I have a piece of basic white. This measures 5.25 by 4. And then I have some scraps here. And I did, like I said, I did some stamping and some die cutting ahead of time. So let me show you what I've done here. So this is Bubble Bath. I have die cut that using, hold on one second, the dies aren't here. So this circle here, this comes from the Stylish Shapes set of dies. So I die cut one of the circles. And then after I had die cut it, I had embossed it using the subtle. Now this is when Sizzix was doing the embossing folders for Stampin' Up. This is the subtle dynamic textured impressions embossing folder. So it's just a very soft, subtle texture that it puts on your cardstock. So I did that ahead of time. And then out of a scrap piece of Pretty in Pink and Basic White, I die cut these both using this die right here. This is from the Countryside Corners set of dies. Out of Basic Beige, I had stamped this basket in Basic Beige ink and had die cut that. There is a grass image in the set of dies. It looks like this right here. So I had die cut the grass. This is soft seafoam cardstock. And then I had used the layering circles set of dies. And I chose the plain circle that was closest to the size of this one right here. And I then die cut that because this is actually going to layer right on the bottom of my circle like so. And then out of Balmy Blue, I die cut this detailed egg. Out of Lemon Lolly, I stamped the flower that's in the stamp set using Daffodil Delight ink, and I die cut that. And then in Basic White, I used, this is Basic Gray ink, and I stamped the bunny and this egg here and die cut those ahead of time. So we're going to color these in. So I'm going to start off and I'm going to fold and burnish my card base, and then I'm going to adhere that piece of Basic White to my card base. So I'm going to bring in my liquid glue. Add some to this. Okay, we'll place this down. Like so. Okay, and I'll set that aside. And then I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. This stamp set is a photopolymer set, so to get a nice stamped image, I'm going to use that. And then the greeting I'm going to use, this one right here that says, "An Easter treat for somebody sweet." And where's that one? Right here. And let's get a block. I'm going to get it one that's a little bit bigger. Okay, and then I'm going to stamp this in my basic gray ink. So let me grab that. Since the colors that I'm primarily using in this card are more pastel, I want something that's just a little bit softer than using something really bold like the black. And I'm going to stamp my greeting right here in the middle. Okay, and I'll set that aside. And close that up. Let's see. You know what? I see that I think that I'm missing. I think I'm missing a piece here. Oh no, nope, never mind. That's another card. I'm getting confused with another card. Sorry about that. Okay, so I am going to also bring in my silicone craft sheet. And I'm going to add some glue on the back of this basic white tag right here. And then I'm going to kind of offset it with this pretty in pink piece. So we got that. We'll set that aside. And then I'm going to take this piece. Let me get some scrap paper. Let's see, we got this one right here. And let me close this up. Okay, so soft sea foam. So for since most of this was more on the pastel side, this grass that I cut out on the soft sea foam, it's going to go in front of this basket that's in basic beige. So to make this stand out just a little bit more, I'm going to make it just a little bit darker. And to do that, I am going to bring in my soft Seafoam Dark Stampin' Blend marker. And I get my brush tip, and I'm going to just color right over this. Now, it looks really dark. This will dry lighter, but I just want to make it a little bit darker. And I'm just using the side of my brush tip. And I think this marker is starting to dry out on me too. Okay, I think that's good. So we're going to let that dry some. Okay, so I'll set that a little bit of coloring of both our bunny and this particular egg. So for my bunny, I am going to bring in the dark bubble bath. My dark bubble bath. And I'm going to color in the inside. That didn't do very well. So I'm going to do the inside of my bunny's ears. And then I'm going to do his nose. And then I'm going to just do little cheeks right here where his whiskers are. Okay, and then for his little bow tie, I'm going to bring in Light Summer Splash. And we'll color that in. Okay, and then we'll set him aside. And then for my egg, I'm going to bring in, let's see, what am I going to bring in? I have Light Highland Heather. And what is this? Light Lemon Lime Twist. And some dark Lemon Lolly. Okay, so with the Highland Heather, I'm going to do the top part of this egg. And then I'm going to do the stripe in the middle and then that section at the very bottom. Okay. Excuse me. Kind of getting over a cold, so I'm hoping that I don't do a lot of clearing my throat. Okay, so the dark Lemon Lolly, I'm going to do these dots. And then for the rest of it, I'm going to color in using the light Lemon Lime Twist. And then we'll get this bottom strip. Okay, so that is all of our coloring. So now let's go ahead and assemble our card. So I am going to take this greenery piece right here and I'm going to bring in my mini dimensionals and my take your pick tool, and I am going to add 3 right near the bottom of this grass. Okay, we'll put one more right there. Okay, so then on this circle, I want to make sure that, excuse me, that the design of my embossed piece, that these lines are going up and down. I don't want it like all crooked. So I'm going to put that where that's straight like so. I'm going to take this greenery piece. I'm not going to take the backings off quite yet. I just want that to kind of be a placeholder because I'm going to take my basket piece here. I'm going to add some glue to the back. Now it's a scrap piece I had stamped on it. No problem. Okay, so I'm going to hold this kind of like in place. And then I'm going to slide this down like so. Put it down about there. Let's see. Okay, that's going to be good. Okay, now I didn't put glue all the way up at the top of my basket because I'm going to take these other pieces and these are going to kind of be tucked in. So I'm going to add my colored egg here. And I'm going to place that right here. Do that in the middle. And then for this egg, I'm going to just add a couple of drops of glue in between, like all those little cutouts. Okay, and then that will get tucked in over here, like so. And then for my flower, let's get some glue on that. And we'll place this right over on this end over here. Okay, and then I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to take this piece before I put any more down. I'm going to add some glue to the back of this. And I'm going to center this like so. Press that all down. Okay, and then let's get our paper backings off of our dimensionals. And I'm going to bring this down so it covers the bottom of my pink circle, so you don't see that very bottom edge there. We'll press that down. And then for my greeting, I'm going to take some dimensionals and I'm going to add a few right on the very bottom, because the top part will be over this part that's already popped up. So we just want it on the bottom. Like so. And then that's going to go right there, but I'm going to put my bunny down first. So I'm going to get my little dimensionals and I'm going to add one on both of the ears, like so. And he's going to kind of be on this side over here, so I want to put one over on this side too, like so. And let's see, we're going to take him and we're going to place him like right over there. So I'm going to take this piece. We'll remove our backings. And let's see, we're going to put him like right over here. And then my greeting, I'll make sure I get it on here straight. I'm going to place that right here, like so. Now before I put my bunny down, I'm going to close my glue. And then I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella. This is not the one I want. I want this one. And I'm going to add some on this detailed Balmy blue egg. So both of my projects, as far as like, you know, the bling and the embellishment, that's going to be on them. I'm just going to use my Wink of Stella. I'm not going to add like any like rhinestones or pearls or anything to it. So these are pretty simple. I mean, they're a little detailed, but simple as well. So I'm going to go over this whole egg here. When I take Wink of Stella and I color over something that I've colored with my Stampin' Blends, one, it not only adds that sparkle to it, like as if you use glitter, but it also pops the color a little bit more as well. And then I'm going to add some too on my lemon lolly flower. And then I'm going to add a little bit onto his little bow tie. Okay, we'll take our backings off of him. Okay, and then we're going to place him right over here on the side, like so. So there is, let me kind of put this away. So there is our first card. Really simple, kind of cute. The time consumption in this card really is doing like all this die cutting and doing kind of like the prep work with the embossing and all that ahead of time. But once you got that stuff done, it's just some very simple little bit of coloring and then just assembling. So there is our first card. So the second one, we're definitely doing more coloring in that one. Let me quickly clean this stamp. I apologize for the shaking. The camera stand is attached to this table, so things are going to shake a little bit when I'm doing stuff. So I apologize for that. I do have another table that's right up against this one over here, but the problem is the way the stand is, I can't hook it to that particular table. So one of these days I'll figure something out that will make it work where we don't have any of that shaking. Okay, so the second one, it's kind of a simple card, but there is some coloring, and I have stamped and I have die cut pieces ahead of time, as you can see here. Let me put this aside and we'll grab our scrap paper again. Okay, so for this card, let me move all these little itty bitty pieces out of the way. Okay, so for my card base, I have a piece of basic white thick. This measures 11 by 4 1/4, and I have scored it at 5.5. I have a piece of, this is the Brights Designer Series paper. Now, this is our current paper that we have. A new catalog is going to go live actually in probably like in a couple of weeks or so in early May. And so the patterns are going to change. So with the 6x6 Designer Series paper, they come in the color collection. So you get like 4 sheets with 4 different patterns in each of the colors that are in that color collection. This is the Brights. This is the one that's current as of right this moment. So this piece measures 4.5 by 2, and it's the pumpkin pie color. Then I have a piece of Daffodil Delight. This measures 4.25 by 1 1/4. Ahead of time, I had stamped the basket handle and the basket itself using Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and this is stamped on soft suede, and I die cut these pieces ahead of time. I did stamp this ahead of time. Thanks a bunch. I stamped that using Melon Mambo ink, and then I punched it out using the classic label punch. And then out of some scrap of basic white, I stamped some of my images here. So I stamped 3 of these daffodils. This is all stamped using the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So I have 3 of the daffodils. I have 3 of these flowers. I have 3 of these longer leaves. And then I have 3 of the smaller leaves. So because I stamped and die cut all my pieces ahead of time, before I went and die cut all the pieces, these little tiny leaves, I went ahead and I colored those ahead of time. It would be a lot easier to do it before die cutting, only because these pieces are so small. So I colored these using the light and the dark old olive ink. So I'm going to set those aside up there. And then I'm going to take and move my card base. Well, we'll fold and burnish our card base. And then I will take this piece of Designer Series paper and I'm going to add some glue to the back. And then I'm going to place this kind of center but off to the right hand side. I'm going to place that about there like so. Move it up just a tiny bit. Okay, we'll set that aside and bring in my scrap paper and my piece of Daffodil Delight. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. So I'm going to pull out this flower image right here. And that one's right here. And then I'm going to bring in my Daffodil Delight ink. And hopefully my ink pad it's really inky, so I had to push the ink into it yesterday. So I don't know how inky this is going to be, but let's give it a try and see if it's crazy or not. That's okay. All right, so I'm going to randomly stamp these flowers on this piece right here. And didn't get all of that. Hold on. Try and bring this down so I can see it. Okay, not too bad. And we'll add a little bit up at the top there and a little bit right down here. Okay, so we can probably take this where it didn't quite line up and I can just flip it over and put it on the other side where that piece will end up getting covered up by our basket. Okay, so I'm going to take this piece. I'm going to get my glue. Add some glue to this. And then this piece is going to go straight across here like so. Make sure that's straight. Okay. And then I'm going to take my basket. I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet here. I'm going to take my handle and I'm going to add, let's see, I want my glue right on the top part of it. I'm just going to add a little bit and then get my basket. And I'm going to just line that up and press that down. So we've attached our handle onto our basket. Okay, and then I'm going to take my basket. I'm going to add some glue to this. Don't want to go crazy around that handle. Okay, and then we're going to place this right here, kind of center it on that orange piece, and then we're leaving like a little gap of that Daffodil Delight cardstock on the top and bottom. So you can see we covered up that one flower that we didn't quite get stamped fully. Okay, and then the thanks a bunch that I already stamped ahead of time, again in Melon Mambo ink, and punched it out with using that classic label punch. I'm going to add a few of my mini dimensionals on here. So I'll add 3 on there. Okay, and then we'll remove these. And then I will take this and place this right about here. Make sure that's straight. Okay, so now we're going to set that aside and we're going to do a little bit of coloring of our flowers. So I'll move this out of the way. I will bring in this scrap paper. So I am going to start with my daffodils. Now, using blends, there's really no right or wrong way to use them. When you want to blend the colors where you don't see any harsh lines or anything, you want to work with it when the ink is still wet. So if you place down one color and then you want to blend in that lighter and that darker shade, you would want to do it while it's still wet. So on this, let's see, what am I using for this? So for these little flowers here, I'm going to be using the light and dark Melon Mambo ink. And then I'm going to use the, I have the dark Daffodil Delight and the light Daffodil Delight that I'm going to use on my daffodils plus the center of those little flowers. And then I have the light and dark Pumpkin Pie. That's going to be for the trumpets of my daffodils. And then for my leaves, I'm going to use the light and dark Old Olive inks. So the way I'm going to color this, I'm going to start off with my lighter colors, and then I'm going to add the dark. Actually, no. You know what I'm going to do? No, let's do it. Let's do it the other way. Because I did it one way before, but I'm going to change it up. So I'm going to come in with my dark, and where I would want my shadows, I'm going to add that on here. Now what I want to do is, before I go over it to blend it using the lighter shade of the pumpkin pie, I'm going to let this dry. And then I will then blend over it using the lighter marker. I want to really be able to see the darker color on here. Okay, then I am going to take my dark Daffodil Delight and I'm going to go around like so. And I'm just going to come out a little bit. And I'm going to do those petals. And then one more. Okay, so I'm going to take those, and before I go over them with the lighter Daffodil Delight and the lighter Pumpkin Pie, I'm going to let those sit there. I'm going to let that dry some. Then I'm going to come in with these 3 flowers right here. I'm going to take my dark Daffodil Delight. I'm going to color the centers of these flowers. Now, I'm not blending any of the light in with this. I'm just going to do the dark on these flower centers. Okay, and then I'm going to take my dark Melon Mambo and I am going to just add a few lines here in my petals. And we'll let that dry, and then we'll go back in with the lighter shade of our Melon Mambo blend, and we will fill that in. Okay, so we're going to let that sit for a moment. And then I'm going to bring in these larger leaves here. And I'm going to take my dark old olive, and I'm just going to follow this center line right here. Okay, and then that will sit to dry. And again, like I said, the 3 little tiny leaves, I did those ahead of time. All right, so let's go back to these daffodils. And I am going to take my light pumpkin pie, and I'm going to color the rest of this in. To this one. Okay. And then let's get our light Daffodil Delight, and we'll finish coloring in these petals. Okay. Okay, one more. Okay, so there's our daffodils. Set those aside. And then let's get our light Melon Mambo, and we'll fill in the rest of our flower petals. Okay. Okay, so that's the flowers. Now I'm going to take my light old olive and I'm going to fill in the rest of these leaves. For this one, I went with the black ink since the colors that I'm using for this are a lot brighter than what I was than the pastels that I used on the first card. Okay, so that is all of our coloring. So let me get this out of the way. Excuse me. Let's bring in our card. So now we're going to do a little bit of gluing and assembling. So I want to bring in my liquid glue for this. And since I kind of laid this all out on my sample card, I'm going to place down my leaves. So I'm going to add some glue to the back. And I grab the top here. And let's see, I'm going to add one right over here. Okay, and then I'm going to take another one. I'm going to add this one right over here like so. Before, when I did the sample card, what I did, I basically laid out where I wanted to put my pieces. So since I got that sample one done, I'm just following how I got it how I have it all laid out for my card. You know, when you put the camera on, I don't know, words become hard. Okay, so then this one's going to go right up here. So all our flowers are basically laying on top of our basket, and everything's basically getting glued down except for one of these little pink flowers in which we will pop up. So I'm going to grab a dimensional for that, and I'll put that on the back like so. And that'll be our last one we put down. Okay, so then I'm going to add some glue to the back of these daffodils. Let's see, we're going to add one like right here. And what I'm going to do as I go, I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella, and I'm going to add my Wink of Stella to my flowers as I put them down. So that way the whole flower is getting it. Because some of these will be overlapping others. Now I'm not going to add any onto the leaves, just the flowers. Okay, and then let's get another daffodil. And then we'll place this one right over here. Okay, and then we'll add Wink of Stella to that. Okay, and then let's put down our last one. Okay, and then this one will go right over here. Slide that over just a little bit. Like so. Okay, so now for our two pink flowers, I'm going to add my glue more to the middle because I do want to tuck in a little leaf. So this one is going to go right here. And I'll add my Wink of Stella to this. Okay, and then one of these little itty bitty tiny leaves, I'm going to hold the very tip of it, add a little bit of glue, and then that's going to get tucked in right under this flower like so. Okay, and then our second flower, we'll glue in the middle, and then this one will go right here. Press that down. Make a Stella. And you want to get more of that Wink of Stella, you know, on the brush tip of your pen. You definitely don't want to do that squeezing over your project because you could end up with a big glob of it. And that wouldn't be good. So I usually just put it in its cap and I do that. All right, and then we want another leaf. Okay, and then I'm going to tuck that in right up here. Like so. And then we have the one that we have on our dimensional. And we're going to place that one right here. So we're going to kind of fill that in. Add a Wink of Stella. And then all we got left is just this one little tiny leaf. Put a little bit of glue on the back of that. And we're going to tuck that right in here like so. Let's press that down. Okay, so there is our second card. A lot of wow with some nice bright colors. So there is our second one. Let me bring in our first. So here's the first one we did. We did more of a pastel theme. We did a lot of die cutting and some embossing. So this is a really cute little card that says an Easter treat for some bunny sweet. And then we have our thanks a bunch card where we did some stamping and coloring with our Stampin' Blends, our flowers and our daffodils, and put them in that cute basket. And I really like how nice and bright and bold and cheery this card looks as well. So this is my Easter Throwback Thursday. In the past, I used to do an actual special holiday video doing projects that are based on that holiday, because things got kind of crazy. I kind of eliminated those videos, and I figured, well, I'm still going to have a Throwback Thursday and a Friday Night Live because that's what y'all like. And so I figure I can always take that holiday and incorporate it into both of those days. So again, this is my Throwback Thursday for this week. Tomorrow, my Friday Night Live will be a Friday night kind of live. I'm actually going to be recording that right after this one, and it will be scheduled to post right here on my YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And again, for my Friday night lives or kind of lives, there is a free PDF that will be available that has pictures of the projects. It has all the list of supplies and the dimensions. And if there's some, things that are like something like this, if whatever I stamped in, like, so if I put scrap of white, I'll say, okay, stamp the images in black, and then, color these flowers in these colors and that color and all that. So there's a little bit of detail that is in those PDFs. And again, in the description of the video, only on my Friday videos, you won't find them on any of my other videos. There will be a link that would take you to my Google Drive, and that's where you can download and you can print them. So again, tomorrow night, my Friday Night Live is going to be a Friday night kind of live. It will be scheduled to post again at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Um, if you like the video, please, that I did for you in this episode, or even any of my Friday Night Lives, please give the video a thumbs up, share it if you would like. Subscribe, hit the little notification bell. It'll let you know when I post a video and when I go live. Again, my pre-recorded videos are typically on the first of the month. I do a monthly Christmas card inspiration. When I get my paper pumpkin kit, I do an unboxing and create one of each of the projects in that kit. I also do a Throwback Thursday. This is where I pull out my retired stash and play with it, give you a little inspiration, if you have the set to pull it out and play with it. I get a lot of comments from people who really like my Throwback Thursdays. And then again, my Friday night lives, typically I am live 7 p.m. on Fridays, Central Standard Time. But whenever there's something that's going on, some kind of event or whatever that would pull me away, I do what is called a kind of live. So I'm pre-recording that live. So it's not set as a premiere, it's set as, a pre-recorded live. So I hope that you'll come back tomorrow night and you'll give it a watch. And if it's after 7 or some other time, you know, replay watchers, that's I appreciate all the watches, the likes, the comments, and all that. It really does help me in not only growing this YouTube channel, but it also helps me in growing my Stampin' Up! Business. So every little bit is much appreciated, and I thank you for that. So until next time, everyone have a blessed Easter, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.